Good evening, good evening, good evening. You're locked into another episode of the Red Sea podcast. And today we have an absolute banger for you. It is Aston Villa versus Liverpool. It's the return of the prodigal son back at Anfield in Steven Gerrard. Is it going to be a momentous return, or are Liverpool going to spoil the party? We get into the meat and the bones and everything Aston Villa Liverpool right after the intro.
Tell the world we are Liverpool, champions of England.
We've conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. Got Paisley and the Shankly, the fields of Anfield gold. We are all supporters, and we come from Liverpool.
Yes, guys, and we're back here for another episode of the Red Sea podcast. And tonight is our FAB 4 Aston Villa preview. And we have the main cast with us, but we've also got a returning guest. I'm going to come to him first. Roy, how you doing?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, great. Thanks for having me on again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming on, and I can always rely on you when I'm sat thinking, crap, I need another person. I've messed this one up. I've cocked it up. My trusted buddy in Roy always comes through and saves the day. I should really start giving you more notice, mate, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'm always your last resort. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, I like to think of it as more like a Divock Origi situation.
Oh, you fucking hell. See you later.
You always come up with the goods. You're there when you need us, and you deliver in the big moments.
Absolutely
legendary status.
I want more game time, though. That's the thing.
Well, look, don't worry. I'm sure we could work on more game time. But look, hello to the rest of the cast. Obviously, SS back in the building again. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm well, thanks, mate. I've recovered from my Christmas works night out, so I'm feeling fresh now. Good.
Courtney B, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm looking forward to the weekend, the game. I think it'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm a bit worried about this one. But never mind. We are going to dissect everything that is Liverpool versus Aston Villa. And it is a special occasion. And obviously we know why. The prodigal son is returning home. He's coming back to his birthplace, which is Anfield. And for once, I don't want it to be a happy return. I want him to be in tears because we need to win this game. We have to win this game. Big shout out to you, Jericho. Not when they're playing against Liverpool.
He's joining PK. He's a Villa fan these days.
Yeah. Only when they're not playing against Liverpool. When they're playing against everyone else, up the villains, 100%. But when they're playing against Liverpool, it's a no from me. But SS, before we get into the meat and bones of the Steven Gerrard effect, talk to us about the recent head-to-head with Liverpool and Villa.
Yeah, absolutely. So last time we played him was at home back in April of this year. And it was on that kind of run of games again that we've talked about before where there was no room for error. We'd dropped so many points before that. We had a back centre-back partnership of Kabak and Phillips at the time. We went 1-0 down, so we thought, here we go again with the horrible run of form that we'd had at Anfield in that time. But who else but Mo got us back on track? And that winner from Trent outside the box, curling it into that bottom corner, one of the goals of the season, not just for Liverpool, but in the whole Premier League for me. And what a moment. And, to be fair, one of many moments that, is where we are today and why we're in the knockout round of the Champions League and not in the Conference League. So that was this time last, obviously, the last time we played him at home. We won't really talk about the last time we played him away. I don't think anyone needs to remember that game. Salah got a couple of goals, but yeah, we won't say much more than that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to swiftly move it on. On that note, a night to forget for all parties involved, might I say. But look, we're here to talk everything Villa. We're here to talk everything Liverpool. And Ultra Freestyle Swordsman, you know why. You know exactly why. This shirt in the San Siro is now legendary. Yeah. So this shirt is forever going to be pride and joy of my collection. The only English team in the history of the competition to win all of their games. Every single one.
Do you know, there's a good stat that I saw.
Yeah, it's still a shit shirt though.
Liverpool got 18
Proper
points in the
shit
Champions
shirts.
League. You know, we got 18 points out of 18 in the Champions League. Everton
Yeah.
have got 18 points in the Prem. So we actually got the same amount of points as them just in the Champions League.
This is what I'm saying.
Outrageous.
But our Champions League, and just quickly on that, our Champions League form this year has been outrageous. They spoke about the group of death, and we've absolutely killed it. Excuse the pun.
Group of dubs.
Yeah, 100%. It's been easy, but I don't want to speak too soon. Hopefully, we progress into the latter stage of the competition and do exactly the same thing. And one of the major trophies are coming back to Anfield, we would hope. But on to the meat and bones. Now, I've called this the Stevie G Effect, and I have to say he's come into Villa. They've got 3 wins out of 4. Yeah, 3 wins out of 4. The only team they've lost to is a 2-1 loss to Manchester City, when they showed periods in that game of actually being in control of the game. City were lucky to make it out of there with a win. For me personally, I think that a draw would have been acceptable. But even still, losing to Manchester City and being Aston Villa, there is no...
No disgrace, is there, with that?
There's no disgrace in that. There's no disgrace in that. So what has he done differently? Because Dean Smith was in there. You would have said he was doing a decent job. A Villa fan growing up. The club was made for him, essentially. And he went in there after a tricky period after Steve Bruce, wasn't it? He went in there, got him promoted into the Premier League, and they stabilised, spent money in the right areas. The ownership backed him, but it all went a little bit sour. And it's like Steven Gerrard's come in there and he's just re-galvanised the players that are already there, let alone losing arguably their talisman in Jack Grealish to Manchester City in the summer. What has he changed? What's different? What are we looking at the moment with Steven Gerrard that we didn't see under Dean Smith? And I mean, SS, I'll come to you on that one.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, you mentioned Dean Smith, 5 losses in a row in the Premier League, and obviously cost him his job. And 3 wins out of 4 from Gerrard. I think every team gets a new manager bounce. So I think it's still very early days to go, oh, Gerrard's the Messiah. He's going to be amazing, because every team, once you change that manager, seem to go on a decent little run of form. It's still very, very early. And you're right. They beat Brighton, they beat Palace, a good win at home to Leicester, but, and very unfortunate to lose against Man City. So it still remains to be seen for me where they finish at the end of the season, not just the first 3 or 4 games under his leadership. But you're right. Again, you look at the 11 that played against Leicester, and it's not really changed. It's a very similar team, very similar lineup. They've not got the biggest squad in the world, so he is quite limited with players he can call upon. And I look at the 11, and it's not brilliant. Once you've taken Grealish out, once you've got a couple of injuries, which I think we'll touch on in a bit as well, the likes of Danny Ings, there's a few players in there that are really pretty much bang average. You've still got Ashley Young in there. You've got Nakamba, Douglas Luiz, Ramsey, players that are either not really going to make the heights or aren't quite there yet. But I think Gerrard has brought in that winning mentality and that belief and that confidence, which, to be fair, I think we look at as Liverpool fans as the way we'd want our club to go. Klopp came into Liverpool in a similar kind of mess that Gerrard's come into Villa. We were on our knees. Rodgers had kind of no direction. There were some really bang average players in our 11, let alone in our squad. And, and he steadied the ship. He turned it around, and the mentality shifted. Everything that he said in his press conference, everyone was like, doubters to believers, and that really shone through. So I think Gerrard is in that mold as well. I think he's turning the doubters into believers in Aston Villa so far, and thinking, do you know what? We can beat a Leicester. We can beat teams in and around us. There's no way they should be right down in the bottom 3, the bottom 5. They are a top half team, which they proved last season. And they lost Jack Grealish, but they've still got some decent players in there. Buendia and Watkins and Mcginn. Konsa popped up with 2 goals at the weekend as well. So I think he's had a fantastic start. But for me, it still remains to be seen. After us, he's got Norwich, he's got Burnley. So he could find himself in the top 10 pretty soon.
I mean, Villa currently sit 10th in the Premier League. And they are currently level on points with Leicester, who are in 11th, and then 1 point ahead of Everton in 12th, and 2 points ahead of Brentford in 13th. But interestingly enough, there's only 8 points between them and 4th. Yeah. So, I mean, Roy, I'll come to you on this as well. I mean, what has changed, and what is the target for Aston Villa this season? Is it just to survive, or is it to push for European football?
I think it's just to show signs of improvement of obviously what they've already built over the last few years. Because, as SS said, Dean Smith put them in a position, where they were, mid-table Premier League team, which, you're going to accept considering they've come up from the Championship, just a few seasons ago. But then, the 5 losses, was it on the bounce, which had obviously ultimately led to his sacking, which, to be honest, I didn't actually see it happening. I think I was on the Redmen 2 or 3 weeks before that. And I think one of the subjects we talked about was top 10 managers in the league, and Dean Smith didn't make it, but I put his name in the mix. I did not see it happen at all. As you say, I thought he's made for Villa. But on the back of that, there was question marks whether Gerrard leaving Rangers to come to Villa was the right step for him. Because if he fails there, big time fails there, fighting relegation over the next couple of years, the Liverpool dream's gone. He won't be the Liverpool manager next if he doesn't show what he's about. But he's come in. It might be a bit of like a the bounce effect that SS said as well. And but don't get me wrong, the signs look like he's exactly. He seems to manage exactly how he used to play, in the sense of he galvanized the team. He made. Let's put some of the teams that he played in for Liverpool was shit, and we got through some massive games, and it was just his presence, his leadership, the way he grabbed things by the scruff of the neck, won games on his own. The Gerrard final, we all know of that, and I think he's just kind of. He said openly himself, he's took aspects of other managers that he's obviously worked under. The likes of Houllier, the likes of Brendan Rodgers, the likes of Klopp. He's learnt off them all, but he's trying to implement his own style and his own way of obviously playing football. And you can see it. It's just if the teams that he manages over the next, obviously, at the moment, Villa can buy into his philosophy the way Liverpool do with Klopp, City do with Guardiola. And I'm going to say Tuchel at Chelsea, even though the wheels are falling off a little bit there, which I think is just a bit of a bad moment. But yeah, it just seems the way when I've seen Villa play, they seem to be fine with a lot more heart, and that's Steven Gerrard, isn't it? So don't get me wrong, I want him to fall on his sword on Saturday. I don't want him getting anything out of that game. I think I've read the comment before. I literally want them to destroy them for 90 minutes, and then after that, hope he wins every game going forward. But what I am pissed off with, another 3 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah.
Not getting to watch the match and having to load up a dodgy stream to watch it. It's a pain in the frigging ass, isn't it?
I totally agree. I mean, you made some really. It is 3 p.m. I mean, you made some really, really good points in there, and I just want to expand on what you were saying about the management style. I watched the interview with Cara as well, where he touched on his influences, and one that was quite poignant for me in there was the Rodgers influence.
Yeah,
and I find that quite comical, only because if you read into the press reports at the time, there was a bit of a feud there. Rodgers removed him from the club, or he was pushed out of the club, and so there was a lot that came out of that. And I'm sure in years to come and books to come, we'll find out what the true essence of that relationship really was.
In his autobiography, I think Steven Gerrard said the reason that they lost the league in that game against Chelsea is because of Brendan Rodgers, that the mentality that they went into the game with was just all wrong. So he's already outed him.
He said it in that interview with Carragher as well. The one where he's walking around Liverpool and stuff with Carragher. Was that the one? Yeah. He said it in that as well. He said that he felt like he was pushed out and stuff. So I think we can all, from what we've heard, we can allude to the fact that he wasn't happy with that. But the reason he mentioned Rodgers in that, because he has been quite vocal to say, early on, he enjoyed his time under Rodgers. It was just towards the end when he was pushed out. And that was Rodgers' downfall, wasn't it? From that 100%. Moment, everything seemed to just... 100%. Everyone wanted him out at the end. At the end of the day, everyone wanted him out, even Liverpool fans, which is quite unusual.
I agree, and Brendan Rodgers, just quickly on that, has got form for this. Historically, he's got form for this. Everywhere he's gone, he's tried to marginalise a big player. There's always been one big player he's tried to marginalise at every single team he's ever been at. And that's his kind of management style. I think he's done a lot of growing up in terms of his management style in the transition from Celtic to where he is at Leicester. But again, third season syndrome. We're seeing in the third season of Brendan Rodgers that Leicester are starting to falter even more than they did last season. Crashed out of the Europa League this evening. Yeah, now languishing in 11th in the league, can't buy a win. You know, there's something that isn't quite right there. We saw the same thing with Liverpool in his third season. The wheels came off the bus. Celtic, third season, the wheels started to come off the bus a little bit. Gerrard had come in and kind of broke the number 10 in that season when Rodgers left, because I think he kind of saw things were starting to get a little bit tricky up there. So it is very interesting that Gerrard does reference him as a point of someone who takes coaching and philosophy style from, but a big influence and big impact is our neighbour at the moment, Rafa Benitez, who again up until the other day was struggling to buy a win, but what an absolute screamer from Damari Gay against Arsenal to make the best goalkeeper in the league look very average. But we'll and Alisson Becker's still got 9 clean sheets. But we'll jog it on slightly from there. Courtney, we'll come to you. We cannot forget about you. Again, look, I put the same question to the boys here, and I'm going to twist it slightly for you. So Gerrard goes into Villa. He gets them qualified for Europe. Back-to-back qualifications for Europe. 2 seasons down the line. 2024 is looming. Jurgen Klopp decides, do you know what? I've done everything I can do. I've won another Champions League. I've won another Premier League. And he decides to hang up his Liverpool boots. Do you take Steven Gerrard as the next Liverpool manager?
I feel like I need to see more. I need to see more of how they're playing, just like game to game, like how he is. Not just qualifying is not enough. I need to see it. I need to see everything, how he is with everything before I could make that decision. But part of me does really want Steven Gerrard to be back at Liverpool. But I always had this dream of like a crossover period. I always thought it'd be a case of that Klopp would be there for like a few months whilst he like took over to like show him the reins, and that dream is gone. That dream has died.
Yeah,
about that.
Stevie obviously wanted to step out and be his own man, didn't he? Because he was in the 23s. He started off with the 18s, didn't he? Yeah. Then he went into the 23s and had them playing some serious ball. Like it was fantastic football that you were seeing. And then the Rangers job came, and he was like, "Yep, I'm going to go and do it." First season, kind of built things. Second season, breaks a 10 in a row. Into the third season, and the opportunity to go to Aston Villa comes. Now, if you're Steven Gerrard, like he said, he couldn't turn that job down. Aston Villa are a huge team. They are a staple team in the Premier League. They are a team which is steeped in history in English football. They've had top players playing at Aston Villa. The crowd are there week in, week out. They get behind the team. They're the biggest team in the city at the moment, obviously, or have been for a long time, because you've got Villa, you've got Birmingham, and you've got West Brom, which are in and around that area. And Wolves as well, which are a little bit further afield, but in and around that kind of area. But Villa are top of the top. They're creme de la creme. So the opportunity to manage Aston Villa is one that he took with both hands. But Courtney, I'll come back to you. Is that just a ploy, or is that part of his thought process in saying, look, if I do well here and I do the business and I meet the expectation, you know, Europa League football, sustain qualification for Europe, because I'm sure that's what the Villa hierarchy have got to be having an eye on, because they would not have put the amount of investment they've put into that team. Even before the Grealish sell, they bought players. Surely he's got to be thinking, if I do the business here, that job is mine. Because where do Liverpool go after that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he went to Villa to get Premier League experience as manager for the Liverpool job. I feel like he knows the time limit, and he knows that he needs to get that experience in there, because I think he knows one day he wants to be the manager of Liverpool. I think that's a dream of his. I genuinely believe that, and I could see it happening. As long as he's not a massive like fucking flop, then that's fine. But I can see him being at Liverpool, being the manager.
Yeah,
and I pray to God, if that happens, that he does well, because that is not going to be good if he has a flop.
It's not going to be good for the heart, is it?
No.
Yeah, I was going to say the only problem is Jurgen Klopp's going to be the manager of Liverpool forever. So that's the issue. I don't want anybody else's manager. At least, I'd say for the least for next few years, I don't want anyone else's manager as long as Klopp still got it. And the thing is, Jurgen Klopp has brought so much joy to me as a Liverpool fan. I was born in the 80s, but it was like I can't remember football.
Yes,
do you know what? Even if I think back about it, in my earliest fond memory is probably like the Owen FA Cup final, those type of years. You know, the 5-1, you know, the Euro, those Houllier days. But even then, I'm still a bit like, oh god. So I've never experienced a tight Liverpool, you know, Premier League winning team before, and he's brought that in abundance. I thought Rafa Benitez was a godsend at the time.
Yes,
Klopp's has eclipsed anything that Rafa brought to us in the sense of the pulling power in the transfer market is ridiculous for Klopp now. And when we talk about, you know, Mbappe's and Haaland's, the press include us in the talks now. Whereas 5 or 10 years ago, people, you know, well, not even that, Coutinho, when he was leaving, we were like, oh, another superstar going. And look what happened off the back of Coutinho. That's the last, and hopefully no more will obviously leave on the back of, you know, things like that. But Gerrard, I'd like to maybe 5-10 years down the line. I know that's a long time, but I don't want to see Klopp go, unfortunately.
SS, I know you're desperate to have your say on this.
I am. I'm going
to bring you. No, I know. I'm going to bring you in because I know you've got some. I know you've got some strong opinions on it, and as have I, about the Gerrard thing. And I think one thing that we're quite unified over is timing.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's one thing we're quite unified over. But for me, before I give you the floor, I don't want it. I don't want it. And the reason why I don't want it is because of the state of football now. We are in an era where we have millennial fans. Look at what they've done to Frank Lampard. They tore that man down off his pedestal. And again, the real fans will remember what Frank Lampard gave to Chelsea. The millennials will go, he was a great player, but no good as a manager. Do you know what I mean? We look at what we've seen at Manchester United with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. To Manchester United, that man is written into legendary status. Part of probably one of the greatest Champions League final wins ever. Not a close, probably second behind Liverpool's against AC Milan. But it was an entertaining final nevertheless. He was involved in that. Multiple Premier League titles, so on and so forth. But the United fans turned on him like a pack of wolves. As a collective here, could we honestly sit here, hand on heart, and witness that happen to our legend? What he's done for us as supporters, could we be comfortable being complicit in that? It couldn't sit well with me. So I'd rather you not just take the job, mate. Keep your legendary status. Make sure that I love you forevermore and just don't take the job. SS, I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I think Courtney was spot on. I think, you know, you and like you said with timing, it depends what he does next. I could probably see Klopp signing a new deal at Liverpool and Gerrard signing a new deal at Villa before we see a move across, because 2024 is not that far away. You know, he can't become a candidate for Liverpool manager no matter what he does with Villa in 2 years. He can't. You know, he's not gonna.
It's 18 months, really, isn't it? It's 18 months.
Exactly. So you know, he's not gonna earn his stripes at Villa in that short time to go, do you know what? Yes, you're the next Liverpool manager. So I agree with Courtney. I need to see more first. You know, he's done all right in Liverpool's youth team. He's won a league in a 2-horse race, which isn't difficult. And, you know, he's just come to Villa and he's had a decent start. He's been here a month. You know, there's so much more to discover. But again, it's timing, because you mentioned Lampard. You know, he had one season at Derby where he failed and then he gets a Chelsea job. Ollie had, Mulder winning the Norwegian league.
Cardiff
relegated. And now he's Man United manager for 3 years. And they're all like, oh, why didn't that work? That's weird. We gave him all this money and it didn't work. How strange.
Ollie at the wheel.
So for me, like you say, again with Courtney, you know, if he gets, let's say, Aston Villa consistently in the top 6, top 8, starts to really knock on the door of a top 4, because Leicester, let's be fair, have spent the majority of the last 2 seasons in 4th. You know, they haven't managed to get over the line, but in terms of days sitting in that position, they've been there a long time. So if Leicester can do it under Rodgers, Villa have got a very similar budget, I would say, you know, to Leicester. You wouldn't say that they've got any less money. You know, they definitely splash the cash. So if they back him, he brings in his type of players. I think, you know, we could start seeing a real challenge. And if we look down the line, say 2027, something like that. And Gerrard has been qualifying Aston Villa for the Europa League, getting to, maybe get to Europa League final, qualify for the Champions League potentially one season out of 4. Then you can go, do you know what? This guy's proved his stripes. Look what he's done at Villa. Look where he's picked them up from. Look where he's taken them to. Now that next step is Liverpool FC, because we've looked at Liverpool's potential future managers, and it's, we've used the term slim pickings, haven't we? Because
you took the words out of my mouth. It is slim pickings. It is slim pickings.
Yeah, I mean, we don't just want, we want a successful manager. Let's be fair. Roy was saying about some of the managers that we've had, and we've had some shite teams. To get Benitez was brilliant, but
SS, just what you said there though, and do you know what? I totally subscribe to that. I think as an elite club, we deserve an elite level manager. But was Liverpool as much as a project as Jurgen Klopp was a project? Did you know what I mean? He'd won 2 Bundesliga titles, but in every final that he'd been to, he'd flunked it. Every final, and we went through that pain as Liverpool fans as well. Yeah. The Europa League final was painful. Does everyone remember that Sturridge goal? Like when that went in, I was like, "It's game over. That's it. We've won it. It's in the
a whole another year, didn't we, to qualify for the Champions League, which was horrible." I mean? But I think we do need an elite level manager, yes, but we also, I think more so, we need a manager that we can get behind, that we can believe in, that will play the same style of football and have the same commitment and passion. Yeah, because I know Klopp's German, but he is literally Liverpool FC, isn't he? Like he's the way he acts on the touchline, the way he is with the fans, his passion. He's perfect. He's the perfect fit for us. And realistically, the only other person I've seen out there that's in the same mold, has done it as a captain and now as a manager is Stevie G. So we're all kind of sitting around waiting for him to prove his worth, because then we can really start to get behind the idea. But I agree with you at the minute. I would say no, because it'd be too early. He'd come in, he'd be under pressure straight away, and he'd be out the door within a couple of seasons, because our expectation is up here. We expect to win everything. So I think another deal for both of them, where they are, and then hopefully Klopp signs a new deal, like Roy said, and 3 years after that, if he does want to move on, maybe we've got a different conversation.
So Roy, just quickly, because I saw you were biting your tongue there. You were like ready to just whip in. Give us the final say.
No, all it was just when you mentioned about Klopp getting to the finals and things and failing. Don't forget, at Dortmund, he didn't have any type of budget. His players were, if they were good, they go to Bayern. Do you know what I mean? So what he'd done with that team was a tremendous thing. He'd never been anywhere near a final, by the way, since then. And when he joined Liverpool, obviously we got to European Cup finals and everyone was laughing at he can't win it. After Rafa Benitez, we'd never been to a final before. He showed consistency to get there. And what FSG done, to their credit, is they seen that and backed him in the transfer market. He gave him all the money they made from Coutinho. They could have put it all in the bank. They gave him the money to go out, and he only needed 2 players, and the team just clicked. Van Dijk and Alisson just changed Liverpool's whole complexion. When without them two, as a backbone, we were a completely different team. And I think that's what it is. If Dortmund had been in that situation and gave him the money, but also don't forget the Bundesliga is not a massive pulling power like the Premier League is. So for me, I think Klopp done wonders at both clubs, and getting to finals and not winning them is still a massive achievement than never being in a final. That's all I want. That's all I wanted to say on the.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you on that. If anybody hasn't watched it, go and check out the Borussia Dortmund documentary. It is fascinating because it takes you from the real dark days after they won the European Cup or went to European Cup final with nonetheless Paul Lambert at Borussia Dortmund. Can you imagine? And then they spent all this money to try and get them to the next stage and bankrupt the club. Bayern Munich had to bail them out. There's so much in that story which leads to the arrival of Jurgen Klopp. And again, doing things on a shoestring. What he paid for Robert Lewandowski is outrageous. It's outrageous what he paid for Robert Lewandowski. That is like taking candy from a baby. It's outrageous. So yeah, if anyone hasn't, check that out because it's a real insight into where they went and where they are now, and Jurgen Klopp and so on and so forth. Right, we're going to jog it on slightly because I think we've discussed Villa. So I think we discussed Gerrard 2024, wink, wink, and all of that.
2027.
A bit much. But look, just staying with the Villa theme at the moment, where's the threat from Aston Villa? Where is the threat coming from? Because if you look at the injury list, because I brought it up, and it's outrageous when you think about the injuries that they've got. Let me just get it up for you because, like I said, it's outrageous. Where's it gone? Here it is. Right, okay, so Villa injuries. Danny Ings, Bartran Traore, Trezeguet, Leon Bailey, some of their main attacking threats. If we look at the amount of time these players have been out for, again, it's outrageous. Trezeguet set to return not until after Christmas. Danny Ings not until after Christmas with his hamstrings. We've been there before. Bartran Traore, again, no date for return. Wow. Trezeguet, no date for a return. Leon Bailey, no date for a return. These are players that make huge impacts or have the potential to make huge impacts on that team. I don't think we've seen enough of Leon Bailey, but from what I watched in the Bundesliga, that man is a talent. And also watching him play for Jamaica, that man is an absolute talent. So where are the goals coming from? Where is the threat? Courtney, I'll come to you.
I'd probably say Ollie Watkins. I know Klopp rates him massively. We said it before. You've got Buendia, that Conser, their centre-half. He scored 2 against Leicester. So I'm thinking maybe might be dangerous set pieces. But yeah, I'd probably say like Ollie Watkins. Because other than that, you can really think of Ramsey. But
John McGinn.
McGinn.
Yeah.
So SS. Let's talk about John McGinn because
nice segue that one.
Transfer Tuesday.
Yeah, that was a transfer Tuesday.
50 M's, wasn't it?
Yeah, 50 M's was the rumoured fee. And look, whether we like it or not, he is a Liverpool style player. And there was a link there. You look at the work rate he gets through in the middle of that midfield. I was watching him play the other day. He makes that midfield tick. He wins the ball aggressive. He looks to spread play. He's like a hound dog. And he reminds me of what Jordan Henderson was like before Klopp got hold of him. He was just a hound dog. Under Rodgers, he would just do all the dirty work. He'd run and run and run and run and run. He was a total athlete. And Klopp got hold of him and added more to his game. So let's just look at McGinn really, really quickly. Our midfield is high tempo, energy. We want to dictate the midfield. Surely he's a threat.
He's a decent player. I think he's a good player for Aston Villa, and Aston Villa is a good club for him. I think he's one of them players that don't have another level for me. I think he's in the perfect place for him. I don't think he would go to a Liverpool and suddenly become a better player. I think we've seen his best game. I think he does have good games for Villa. He does have good games for Scotland, but it's that consistency that separates the men from the boys, the good from the great. You know, the world class from the very good. So I don't see him being anything more than a good player. He's box to box. He can get forward. He can get assists, etc., etc. And I think he is a good player that Gerrard will like and get the most out of. You know, he's very similar to, I think, Gary McAllister as well on the ball. You know, that kind of player. I think him being the assistant as well, that Scottish link will definitely help get the best out of him. But in terms of would Liverpool go for someone like that? No, there's another level, probably another 2 levels above that style of player that we should be looking at bringing in, which we'll probably get onto in a moment. But in terms of threats, I agree with Courtney. I think Ollie Watkins is their main man. He scored a fantastic winning goal a couple of games ago, one of Gerrard's first games, unbelievable strikes. So we were linked with him as well for a little while from Brentford. So I do like Ollie Watkins. I think he's the guy that if they are going to score, it's going to be him. But I think we're going to be back to pretty much full strength again. And at Anfield, we've been pretty relentless. And, you know, you mentioned Alisson with the clean sheets. I think they're missing just a few too many players this time around.
Well, we'll come on to expected lineup a little bit later on in the show. Roy, I'm going to come to you on this one as well. I mean, sticking with the McGinn and not a Liverpool type player, I think he is. He's an athlete. He runs. He runs hard. He works hard. He puts in collective performances which contribute to team performances. there's no reason why he couldn't be an option in our midfield. When we look at like an Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, those two are on the same level. I'm being very real. Those two are the same caliber of player. So there's no reason why he couldn't play a role in that team. I'm not saying he'd be a sustained starter, but the link, I can understand why the link was there. I can understand why we were linked with that player. And I think he makes Villa tick. I really, really do. I think he is equally as important to Villa's success as Jack Grealish was. I just think Jack Grealish got all the plaudits because he was the man that Mcginn was giving the ball to all the time. Now, more is falling on Mcginn in order to win the ball back in the midfield, push the ball into those areas and actually get the team flowing. Talk to me, Roy. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts are like the links make sense, as you say. He does seem like a hard working midfielder, but I just don't. There's no maybe back when we were linked with him, maybe, but we've seen Harvey Elliott now. And we've seen Curtis Jones coming through. If he's going to play, he plays rough. I think he plays right centre mid, the Henderson position, and Harvey Elliott's shown that he's got the ability, ceiling level, higher than what we maybe thought he might not have had. So I think that ship has sailed, even if we were linked with him. But even if we were kind of still in for him, it's just not for me. We've got too many players. I think when we buy players in the future, I think they've got to kind of improve, if not be on level with our current starting 11. Don't think we need any more squad players. We've got too many of them. Some of them are sitting on the treatment bench. Some of them are on like a lot of money, and some of them are coming through. So I don't think we need any more like that. I think our signings have got to be top tier, 50 million plus. If it's 1, 2, anywhere to improve. Maybe centre mid and a striker, but I can't see us going in for John McGinn, if I'm being honest. But with that being said, he is a threat. Obviously, we've seen it, over the last couple of seasons in the Premier League. We've seen some of the wonderful goals that he scored. Him and Jack Grealish did, as you say, get all the plaudits, and he was the unselfish one, as you say, why Grealish took majority of the headlines. But I just think, looking at their team that they put up against Leicester, that's another thing I wanted to say. I think something that Gerrard's got to do over the next couple of years is, I think Leicester's the team that he's got to kind of emulate. He's got to try and get above them every season to be consistent. I think that's the next best thing outside the top four. Exactly. So if he can if he's beaten them and he can keep that, sustain over the next couple of seasons, that'll be where Aston Villa are wanted. But their team they played against Leicester was a 4-3-3, similar to the way we play. And I think if anyone plays that formation against us, it's a dangerous game. Unless we fall completely off the rails, I can't see us losing that game. I think Watkins will get isolated. I think Ashley Young will have an absolute nightmare with Salah. I think Cash with Mane running at him is going to be huge problems. And I don't think the likes of Buendia and Ramsey are going to be able to get up and support Watkins because they'll have too many defensive responsibilities. So if they're going toe-to-toe with us, touch wood, I'd like to think we see this game out quite comfortably.
Well, that's an interesting take, and that's how we would want it to go as well. And just touching on Ashley Young, and I'll come to you on this, Courtney. I think personally, he's done well to have a sustained career, because ultimately he started off life as a winger, a tricky winger at Watford who would cut inside and hit absolute bangers. We think about the kind of goals he scored in his early Premier League time. He'd get in behind and he'd cause absolute havoc. Went to Aston Villa under the same guys as well and performed in that team. That Villa team under Martin O'Neill done exceptionally well. A certain James Milner featured in that team as well. They were done really, really well. They punched way above their weight. Went to Manchester United under the same guys, and it didn't work out for him because you think you got players like Ronaldo that are in and around that scene at the time. You got players of huge quality, and then he reinvented himself as a fullback. And for me, that's because he's always had that engine. He's always had that athlete in him, and he's prolonged his career. Went to Inter Milan and won a title. He's got Premier League titles. So for me, they've brought him in there just for his experience, the know-how to win. He to Aston Villa at the moment is what James Milner is to us. That experienced player, that figurehead in the dressing room when you've got a young team that can steady the ship. I mean, Courtney, talk to me about where you think where Villa's threats are. But I think Ashley Young being in Villa is a strength. It's a strength, not necessarily a threat. It's another string to their bow.
Yeah, I wouldn't class him as a threat. I'm probably the worst person to ask about Ashley Young. Don't like him.
Not many people do.
I'm not going to sing his praises.
Not many people do.
Yeah, it is the experience. So I get what you mean. Like you say with Millie, it's like another leader in a sense, isn't it? On the pitch, which is good. Like we have a lot of leaders on the pitch for us, and you can tell when they're not playing. So I think in that sense, it probably is a strength. But yeah, I don't see him as a threat. He's not like our fullbacks. Like, yeah, he's got a bit of an engine on him, but he's not the same quality as us. Not the same breed.
No,
I agree with Roy. He's in trouble, isn't he? Salah versus Young, R.I.P. Yeah. Goodness me.
I think he's had a good career, though. I'm not going to lie. I don't like the fella, but
Salah's going to end it tomorrow.
To reinvent himself as a fullback when we thought he was gone at United and gone on for all these years since. And do you know what? He's 36. He doesn't look particularly old. When he runs, he doesn't look like he's struggling. He still looks like half decent. So, but yeah, he's going to have Trent, Salah, and Henderson in that little triangle running at him. He's going to shit his kecks.
Well, I think he plays for the experience, and I think he's going to be in for a long afternoon. But controversially, I think he'll cope. I don't think we're gonna have anything out of the ordinary from what we see from Mo Salah, apart from absolute greatness. So if he writes off Ashley Young, it's not a huge scalp for him, if you get what I mean. It's just a case of, we thought that was going to happen. So if Young has a half decent game, he has a half decent game. Let's jog it on slightly. Mentality monsters. Liverpool lived up to the tag once again of mentality monsters with a resilient display against Wolves. Are Liverpool back to their gritty best? SS, this has got you written all over it. Are we able to grind out results now? I mean, we saw it in the was it the Villa game a couple of seasons ago with the Mane late header, where we thought, God, we're not going to get anything out of this, and Mane, boom, put his head down where the boots are and gets the winner at the end. Is this something that we're going to start seeing cropping back in? Because people will call us mentality midgets after last season. And obviously, we talk about the revenge tour. It's time to kind of obviously get back on that bandwagon.
Yeah, the return of Lord Divock. You know, when the 11 hasn't worked, you need to bring someone on to get you out of trouble, right?
Don't do it.
You're right. You know, you look at this fixture even last year, like I mentioned at the start of the show. You know, Trent Alexander-Arnold scoring that winner in the 90th minute. You have to find a way. There's no room for error. And you know, last year we were clinging on to a top 4 place, and this year we're fighting for the title, which is much more exciting. And you know, we've seen Chelsea falter. You know, City are only 1 point ahead of us. There is no room for error, and it's crazy. It's December, but any drop points from now till May can cost you the league, can cost you second place. It's that tight. So yeah, you know, Wolves. Let's be fair. It's one game. We were shocking for 93 minutes, and Origi got a goal. That's not the return of mentality monsters. It's a good foundation because we found a way through, and it was nice to see Liverpool overcome a bad performance, because I've got quite used to kind of, you know, when you watch Liverpool and you think it's not quite working, it's not quite clicking, and you resign yourself to it's going to be one of those days. It's going to be a 0-0. You might even slip up and lose it. You know, you know that Liverpool are in that kind of weird mindset that they're not. They tend to struggle to get out of within a game. You know, they can put it right within that week in the next fixture, but I think we've seen over the last season at least, that when Liverpool turn up and they're not quite at it, they seem to struggle to get back to it within that 90 minutes. So resilient, stick to the last minute, 90-something minute winner, fantastic. I just can't take too many of them. So if that's what it takes against Villa to win the game, brilliant. I'd much rather prefer a nice cheeky 3-0. But I think it's this period that's coming up now. It's a game every 3-4 days. If we can get through this period, because for me, whoever comes out of this period at top of the league will win the league. Whoever's top, you know, January, the end of January, if they've got 3-4 points lead, they should be very strong favourites to win that title. So it depends who comes through this gritty kind of period. And it's going to be these 3 and 4-0s are great. When you've got a game every once a week, every couple of weeks, etc. With international breaks, they're brilliant. Everyone's refreshed, everyone's rotated. But in December, every 2, we've got like the 26th, we've got a game. The 28th, we've got a game. The 1st, we've got a game, and it's just every 2-3 days, it's relentless. So it's all about winning. You just got to win that game. If we play crap, if we play ugly, get that 1-0 win, and that's when mentality monsters come through.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said there. And Courtney, surely that is why we picked up the title, and rightly so, of mentality monsters. When the chips were down and teams would sit in against us and try and play low block football, we found a way. When teams would attack us, we found a way. We saw Wolves defended doggedly. They defended with their lives for 80 plus minutes, 90 minutes. They defended with their lives. And once again, another tool comes off the bench, something different, and gets the breakthrough. I could see Villa doing something very, very similar, just defending with their lives. And like you said, SS, if there's days where you think, crap, it's not dropping for us, Mane's off a little bit,
yeah,
Jota's not firing, Salah's having a game where he's trying to do everything, Trent's not firing, to be able to come up with a goal out of virtually nothing, surely, Courtney, that makes us mentality monsters.
Yeah, I mean, with the Wolves game, it was literally just a case of there were so many chances, but we just couldn't finish. In that final third, we just couldn't do it. That was what was frustrating. It wasn't a case of we were playing shit and there was no chances and that we didn't have any of the ball. That weren't the case. It was just the finishing side of it that was the frustrating part. And yeah, Divock comes on, gets told to just be Divock. Like, imagine being a player and Jurgen Klopp turning around and being like, just be Divock. You'd feel like you'd be buzzing. Yeah,
don't get sucked in, guys.
Change like Saturday night.
Like the way you move.
Don't get sucked in, guys. Roy, I'll bring you in on this.
All
right, look. My co-hosts are desperate to draw me into this debate. So I'm going to give you the floor on this, right? Divock Origi, for me, is a player which has brought much joy, but with the joy, he's like one of my children. Brings me much joy, but with the joy, there is moments of like disappointment where you think, how have you done that? No, it's true. How have you done that? There's moments where you're just disappointed. Like, why have you done that? Do you know what I mean? Why have you? No, it's true. Like, it's true. I'm having the same conversation with I had the same conversation with my son this evening. I'm like, why in the hell have you done that? Like, what? Like, why have you now done that? Do you know what I mean? And that's how I feel about Origi. It's like, you've got everything. You're big. You're strong. You've got pace. You've got power. You've got technique. You can head. You can shoot. And you still manage to sky it over the bar. Or you still manage to miss a sitter. And then he comes up with moments like Champions League, Barcelona, freaking Everton, flipping the Wolves goal when he lobs it. Like, and you think to yourself, what an absolute player. But it's more often than not, we're talking about moments of absolute shithousery, yeah, rather than the moments where we're talking about what a fantastic player. Like, please break down this conundrum that is Divock Origi. And then Klopp goes, just be Divock. What Divock? The shit Divock or the good Divock? What Divock do you want me to be, boss? What Divock do you want me to be, boss? Because tonight, Matthew, I don't fucking know. That's how I feel about Divock.
If he's getting brought on in like the last 10 minutes, he knows what Divock he's got to be. If he's getting brought on, he's an impact sub. If he's starting the game, he's like, nah, this ain't me. This ain't me. I don't think
he's ready. I don't think he does. I don't think he does know what Divock he needs to be. Because if he did, he'd do it more often. Roy, talk to me. What Divock does he need to be? Because
is that seriously the question? What Divock does he need to be? Is that what you want me to answer?
No,
you seem so discombobulated. I don't think you know what you want to ask me here.
No, I am. I've just lost the whole will to live with this Divock Origi agenda. Look.
Oh, do you know what? We thought all his chips were down. He'd ran out of credit, let's just say, with his Everton like goal and all, or his Barcelona antics, and we thought, right, that's it. He's definitely ran out of all these moments, let's say, and everyone was going, "What? He's got 3 years left on a contract. How has he still got 3 years on a contract? He's got to be off." And then he pops up against Wolves with the winner. Let's not get carried away with this situation. As you've all alluded to, we should have put that game to bed. Easy. We had so many chances in that. When after the game, I think I might have even tweeted something stupid like, we were shit, we were awful, we didn't do this. But then after the day, and you've calmed down and you watch it back, you'd actually see we created quite a lot of chances. We just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. Now, let's not get carried away. This is a massive 3 points in the grand scheme of things because we can't drop things, but it is only a game that we should have won against Wolves quite comfortably. Okay, it's not Barcelona, it's not the derby. It's not the final. It's not a massive thing in the grand scheme of things. Now, Origi has his moments, but overall, if you're looking for what he brings, don't get me wrong, I don't think you can get somebody as good as him for what he brings to the Liverpool team and be happy being a squad player. I don't think that. I think if you wanted to get a better version of Origi, like if you want to get a better player, I think they've got to have more game time, and then you've got to look at the top four that we've already got. So that is a conundrum, and only Klopp and his team know what to do there. But for me, I'm actually in the process of putting a video together. Don't even see me tweet saying, "What do we do with Divock Origi this summer? Do we sell? Do we keep?"
Klopp don't want to get rid of him.
No, I know.
Klopp is like, nah.
Yeah, but he's not good enough to move any of the four out of their positions.
Is he the best fifth choice striker in world football?
Probably. Yeah. But that's what. But do you know what I found with Origi? As we've all said, he's an impact sub when he starts games. When the AFCONs kick in, if he's got to start 2 or 3 games on the bounce, are we going to see that? I have question marks over that because when he has come in and started games, even this season in the early rounds of the cups with Minamino, I didn't think he looked great. I don't think he's got a great work ethic. But as an impact sub, yes, he is obviously showing that he's got. He's somehow managed to cash another check in at the cashier.
That's not impressed, is he?
This agenda.
Let me just get something straight. Are you a fan or do you not want him? Well, what's your situation here?
Go on, Jay.
I'm bringing Jay the question for a change.
I just think he's run his course.
Yeah, I do. I agree.
I think he's running. I just think he's gone stale. Like I never forget when we brought him and then we loaned him back. In that season, we were desperate for someone to come in, and we were desperate for someone to come in and score goals. Like desperate. And I was like, just go and get the player which we've signed that is doing the business in the other league. Just go and get him. He then came in. It was all very quiet. He scored a couple of goals, whatever. It didn't really last long in the Rodgers era. Klopp comes in, he does okay, and like you're saying, it's like he's happy with his situation, and he's 27 now.
Sounds about right.
27.
You're not going to find another player with better quality that's happy to just do what he does.
You're right. I totally agree with you. But surely, as a professional, this is what which frustrates me. Surely, as a professional football, when your career is so limited and so short, you shouldn't be happy with that. You should want to push and be the best that you could be. I appreciate that you're at Liverpool Football Club. You are at one of the greatest institutions of world football. Forget what football in the world. But for you as a player, you should want better. And that to me is not a great character trait. I want all of my players, yes, to play roles in the team and understand their roles and rotation. But to want to push. I don't know the man personally, but that's the vibe which I get. And I don't like that vibe. I'm just not for me.
Do you know what, though, as well? Like, for what he brings to the team, you'd expect that from a young kid, 18 to 21. Yeah. He's doing it now at 26. His ceiling's definitely hit. He's not getting any better. Yeah. And I think because when we look at Liverpool, we've been progressive over the last 4 or 5 seasons. We've noticed all our players, even James Milner, we've noticed things that they've done, that they've progressed over those courses. Origi just seems to be there, staying at the same level. And as you say, it's become a little bit stagnant. And because us as Liverpool fans like to see a progression, he's not given us that factor is he's not giving us the right. We can see even when he scores these goals, we're not like, yeah, he's going to hit on now and be an absolute killer in front of goal and score a 20. We know that that's all he's getting, and because we're a progressive team of progressive fans, that might be the reason why the fan base is splitting off of obviously where we want what we want with him.
Can you imagine, right? And this is utopia, that every time he touches pitch, yeah, from that impact player, he starts bagging goals. At that point, I'm like, yeah, you're an absolute G. But there's times when he touches pitch and you're like, get that donkey off the park now. Like, get him off. Like, what are you doing? Then there's times where he's on the pitch and you're like, oh my God, you are world class. Do you know what I mean? Like
moments, though, innit?
Yeah, look at the touch and the swivel. That's world class. That's instinctive finishing. That's knowing where the goal is. Your back's to goal. You know where the goal is. You know the movement of the goalkeeper. You know the defenders. That's world-class finishing. And if he can replicate that, if he can do that and get 10 to 15 goals a season off the bench, world-class.
Yeah, realistically, you got to look at it. He's not playing hardly any games. He's literally getting like no game time hardly whatsoever in the Prem. Like, he's coming on for 10, 15 minutes. What else do you want him to do? He's scored a goal. What else do you want from him?
No, 100%. No. Let's be clear. Like, that is a legendary moment. And again, we'll probably seal his moment in Anfield folklore. He is going to go down as a legend for those moments, for those Divock moments. But I feel like we need more. Let's jog it on slightly. A topic which I know that SS is desperate to get onto. Recent publications are linking Gini Wijnaldum with a return to the Premier League. Arsenal are said to be the front runners. Now, my title in this segment of the show was Gini return, no, ! The future is bright. Now, I'll say my piece. I love Gini Wijnaldum. Great servant to the club. He is part of the probably the biggest transition that we saw in recent Liverpool history. One of the first Jurgen Klopp signings, came in from Newcastle on a nominal fee, then goes on, and the rest is history. Champions League, so Europa League final, Champions League final, Champions League winners medal, Premier League winners medal, Club World Cup. He's won a lot with the club. My issue, look, and moments like this, absolutely fantastic. We'll go down in history. I remember celebrating this with my son. He was on the other end of the phone. He was in Turkey at the time, and oh my God, what a moment! It's unreal. That will live in memory forever. But that we keep peddling this agenda that we haven't replaced Gini Wijnaldum. We have replaced Gini Wijnaldum. We brought in Thiago. Thiago is now showing the reason why we brought Thiago to the club, and we were happy to let Gini Wijnaldum go. Might I add that Gini Wijnaldum is older than Thiago? Yeah, only by a matter of months, but he's older than Thiago. Yeah, Gini Wijnaldum's time at Liverpool Football Club had come to an end, and we have to respect everything that he's done for Liverpool Football Club. So all this bringing him back in only would stunt the progress of other players like Elliott, like Tyler Morton, who made a sensational Champions League debut. Curtis Jones is in there as well. And potentially, if we're looking at being in a market which has been muted recently for Jude Bellingham, do we want to be occupying a squad place, whether it be on loan or a permanent deal with Gini Wijnaldum? I would say no.
It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one because, you look at it, he's gone to PSG. He's not done badly, but, that the difference between PSG fans and Liverpool fans is we love our players, we love our legends, and PSG just expect 10 out of 10 performance every week. And if you're not scoring a hat trick, you're not having a good game. And Wijnaldum's never really been a prolific goal scorer. We've kind of played him further back than he probably prefers. You look at him for Holland, he almost plays as a 10. He gets on the score sheet, he gets more involved in the attack. And for Liverpool, he was more of a box-to-box energetic player. He filled in that left-back role when Robertson bombed forward like Hendo does on the right-hand side. And he was the perfect cog in the Liverpool machine that was so successful and won the biggest 2 trophies there are to win. So if you're offered somebody that had that much success on loan for 6 months, surely it's a no-brainer. You know, the history of Liverpool players returning to the club in my lifetime is pretty slim. I know Ian Rush is probably the most high-profile one, a little bit before my time, but I think Robbie Fowler came back and he was already kind of finished by then. And Craig Bellamy had a bit of a swan song when he came back as well. So not massively successful with returning players. And we've been linked with Coutinho for about 4 years, and that's never materialised, because once they leave Liverpool, you know, the wages become astronomical, and you know, I can't see us paying a fee for someone that we let go on a free. It's never going to happen permanently. But you know, 6 months back in the team, you know, we've got Milner coming towards the end of his career. We've got Naby Keita, who's a complete waste of time. Them two, I would rather have Wijnaldum in the team than those two for January to May. So for me, if he's available on loan, it's a no-brainer. For 6 months, I just don't think it would turn into a permanent deal.
Roy, because I'll come to you last, Courtney. What's your thoughts? I mean, like I said, I'm a no, because I feel like we've progressed past him. We play a slightly different brand of football in terms of what we've been seeing with Thiago in the team. I think that's now started to click. To bring Gini Wijnaldum back in, whether it be in a 6-month temporary deal or whatever, or not, AFCON cover, whatever way you want to dress it up, I see regress. Roy, talk to me. What's your thoughts?
Firstly, I don't think it's ever going to happen for 2 reasons. We didn't want to give him more money to stay when we didn't have to pay a fee for him, and apparently he wanted to stay. So why would we now go and pay PSG, maybe not even 300 grand, even if he only wanted 200 grand offers, 150 grand. They're not going to do it. As you rightly say, we've progressed past Gini Wijnaldum. He was great for Liverpool Football Club. I could be very negative and start pointing fingers at his Liverpool career as a whole of what I see. I don't think he offered anything to make me suggest that he should have been given double his wages. I'll be brutally honest. I wrote an article when he left, because he went off, you know, slating the fans and everything. You know, when I thought his problem was the fact that the likes of Keita, Ox were all on more money than him, and rightly so. They were on the treatment bench. He was putting a shift on the pitch. But my only problem is with Gini is he made a situation where he wanted more money about bringing things, like talking about the football club in a disrespectful way. He said, you know, wait till after the Euros, I'll say my piece, this, that, and the other. And we were all like, oh shit, what's been said? What have FSG promised him? What has actually been said? Oh no, this isn't the moment. And then it came out and he just had a lavish attack on the fans. And I just lost quite a lot of respect the way he left, if I'm being honest. So that's another reason why I wouldn't want him back in the team. The only thing I say about Gini is he was always fit. Everyone says it. He was always fit. Keita, Thiago have not always been fit. You could always rely on Gini Wijnaldum to be fit, but that's the problem. That's all he was in my eyes. He was just a little box-to-box midfielder, passed the ball, didn't create too much, just won the ball back in midfield like a number 6 would. But for what we needed, I don't think. I'm with FSG. It was a business decision at the end of the day. Do we double his wages at the age of 30, 31? Give him a 3-year contract? No, it's not a good idea when we've got Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott coming through. We've just got Thiago. We don't see that. And I back that all the way. And I'll be honest, I just think, as I say, for the reasons I've already mentioned, I just can't see it happening at all. You know, don't get me wrong, like his dream was to play for Barcelona, and then PSG offered him 300 grand a week and he went. Fair enough. Got no objection with a man making money for his family. If someone offered me 300 grand a week to go and play football in Israel or something, I'd go and do it. Do you know what I mean? It's about money at the end of the day, but don't make out the reason you left anything else.
Yeah, I agree. And you're right. It was a business decision. And I said this before when SS and I crossed swords on this. It was about the money. It was about the money. It was never about anything else but money. And again, a 30-year-old player, money's important. It's maybe your last big contract that you can command at 30. So you've got to look at securing your family. But when we done the show, however many months ago it was, the one thing that always sticks in my mind is those words that will ring in his ears from Jurgen Klopp. Yeah, if you stay, they will build a statue of you. If you go, you will just be another player. Now, I appreciate that the club didn't want to renew his contract, but I think they didn't want to renew his contract at that level of money. If he'd have wanted 20 grand more, 30 grand more, we probably would have looked at it and gone, yeah, do you know, we'll have a bit of that because we can't get someone, we can't replace you at that level of money. Whereas when you're getting into the £200,000 a week, wanting to be one of the highest earners at the football club, they're looking at it thinking, we've just bought in world-class Thiago. Have you seen this man's football CV? Someone would have said, have you seen this man's football CV and compared to yours? Like, come on, be sensible, Ginny. I appreciate that you're a cornerstone of the club, but realistically, you can't lace Thiago's boots with respect.
God,
so
disrespect, Jesus.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not a disrespect because what he done for Liverpool is phenomenal. But if you take the and this is where, as a fan base, I think we sometimes let ourselves down. If we take the sentiment out of it and look at it player for player, Thiago is better in terms of what he's done across his whole career.
It's preference for me. It's style and preference and choice of player. I don't think, look how successful we were with Gini in the team. And I know Thiago's won stuff elsewhere, and I know he's actually had a couple of decent games after a year of being here. But Gini was world class for us, and I think he was on 80 grand a week for Liverpool for 5 years. His agent should have knocked on the door after 2019, after this game, after we won the Champions League, and gone, do you know what? He's been here for 3 years already. He's still on 80k a week. We need to make this 120. And then when you get to 2021, he might then be able to ask for 150, 160. But, I agree. Once you get into the last year of your contract, you're 30, 31 years old. And as you said, James, you've got your last big contract of your career, and you've got Barcelona, the Dutch link, chucking 200k at you. You've got PSG blowing that figure out the water as well. You've kind of held on too long, and you can tell that it's gone a little bit stale. And you've gone past the point of getting that contract with Liverpool. And it is a shame. And I agree with you. If it would have had a steady, progressive increase in salary after 3 years, after another couple of years, I think it wouldn't have been quite so much. And I agree with Roy, coming in after 5 years and going double my wages or I leave, ultimatums aren't going to be particularly successful with FSG, are they?
No. The only issue as well with him signing that contract was it was before Liverpool hit the heights, that they have done. So he signed it when Liverpool was still a top 6 team, maybe.
Yeah.
He signed a 5-year deal. That was his issue. And as you say, they should have went in 2 years ago and gone, we'd like to extend his contract by another 2 years and give him an extra 40 grand. They left it too late. And that's it. Unfortunately, it is just a business decision. But yeah, the whole rigmarole about it all when leading up to it, we were like, oh my God, what's happened here? What's he touching on here? It's just money at the end of the day. And I think we have moved on from it, to be honest.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And as I said, we've not and taken the Thiago situation out of it. We found another way to win. We found another way to win. And I think the adaptation of Liverpool Football Club, because those players were all progressively getting older, I don't think we could continue to play that full throttle, all action, high dynamic football we've seen in the midfield. We needed to control games more, dictate play, and Thiago gives you that. We're going to jog it on slightly. We're going to head into the expected lineup before we start to close the show. Courtney, I'm going to come to you first. So rotation has been a figment of Liverpool's approach this season with big changes made in the Champions League game. Will we see more changes this weekend? And who do you expect to come into that lineup?
I think we've got to go strong. I think we've got to put our best team out there this weekend. I'd just stick with Alisson, Robbo, Trent, Van Dijk, Matip. I'd probably say Matip. There's been a lot of
even though Konato's been playing some serious ball as well. Like between Phillips and Konate, I don't know who decided they were gonna keep Ibrahimovic, but one of them has got Ibrahimovic in their pocket.
Yeah.
I don't know which one it is, but one of them's got him in their pocket.
Yeah, they had a great game.
We had it locked.
Yeah. Midfield, I'd probably go Hendo, Fab, Thiago, and then Salah, Jota, Firmino. Not Firmino. Firmino's not bad. Salah, Jota, Mane.
So,
Bobby's back in training now, so soon, hopefully, he'll be getting into the mix as well.
So basically our strongest lineup with the kind of the do we switch? Yeah, do we switch Matip or Konate or Phillips?
Yeah.
Roy, I'll come to you. Starting lineup, my man.
Yeah, not much. Not difference at all, really. Alisson, Trent, Robbo. I would give Konate and Van Dijk a go now for at least the next 2-3 games. I think we've got Newcastle, haven't we, at home after this? Spurs away, he might come back in. I think we've got Leicester in the cup after that, so I would give Konate some playing time now. I think he deserves it. I think he needs to push on now. I think he's sitting on the cusp thinking, I need game time. You can just see it every time he's on the bench, every time he, because I've seen a few interviews on YouTube today of him doing stuff for the Premier League, and he looks hungry. And I would give him a little run now where we can. Midfield 3, Fab, Hendo, Thiago, and then Mane, Salah, and Jota if he's fit. I'm sure he is. Someone just said there in the comments about him not being well.
Well, this is the funny thing, because again, I read a thing today about Konate, and they were saying that in training, he's an absolute beast.
Yeah, I've seen that. Apparently, it's amazing.
They're saying in training, he's up to speed now. He knows how we play. He's like unbeatable in training. Like even Mo is struggling against him defensively. They're talking about in training, which is crazy. And for a player so young, he's huge. How can you be that young? He's massive. He's big. He's bigger than Virgil. Virgil is huge. Like it's unreal. So I would like to see that partnership going forward for a little while at least. And I don't think we anticipated that that Matip would put Matip's has amazed everybody. Like everyone thought, he's not like everyone thought. Do you know what? When you looked at it, you thought Gomez and Van Dijk might assume the partnership. Maybe Konate will knock Gomez off the perch, but Matip would be that fourth, the rotate. Yeah. It's gone the other way. It's gone. Gomez is the backup, the fourth, not getting a look in. Matip is playing like PK would say, Lionel Matip football. Yeah, like it's unreal. And Konate sitting there thinking like, why the hell did you bring me here? Like, do you know what I mean? So it's crazy. SS, your expected lineup for me, please, bro.
Yeah, I agree with the guys. Really, I think it's going to be that full strength team that we've seen. You know, that's that standard default 11: Matip, Van Dijk. You know, the fullbacks the same. The midfield of Hendo, Fabinho, Thiago, and the front three that picks itself. But like Roy alluded to, we've got Newcastle on the Thursday, so that's 5 days away. So I think that might be the game where we see the likes of Tsimikas, Konate, Ox, Keita, maybe even an Origi start that game, because Newcastle are terrible. And then we've got Spurs at the weekend, 3 days after that, Thursday, Sunday, and then it's just relentless football from there. So I don't think we're going to necessarily see an A team and a B team quite so clearly. I think we're going to start seeing 1 or 2 or 3. So probably this weekend, I think, is the last time we see this default first choice 11 for a while, probably for the rest of the year. There's always going to be 1, 2, 3 changes from now after this game until the new year, until the FA Cup kicks in and you start having, a week between games again. So definitely the first choice 11, the default, the most picked 11 we've had, and that midfield 3 that we've always alluded to as being our strongest if we can choose from it when they're all fit. But yeah, I think Newcastle will see 2 or 3 changes, and then going forwards, I don't think we'll see this default 11 for quite some time.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. I mean, at the start of the season, if we remember, I was like rotation. And Klopp has used his squad up until now. Fantastic. The changes that have been made, when they've been made, the rest time given to players, it's been spot on. But we're now in the crucial zone.
Yeah.
Back-to-back fixtures, 3 or 5 days in between games. We've got an FA Cup tie sandwiched in there. League Cup tie sandwiched in there. with Leicester. We then go to Spurs. Spurs are looking pretty depleted with COVID at the moment as well. So, we wish them guys a speedy recovery, obviously, but at the same time, it could play into our hands as well in that respect, because you wouldn't expect those players to be back up to physical fitness or whatever, not because of the sustained period of time they're having out, no training, all of that, right? So, but this period is crucial in the Premier League, and we've seen Chelsea falter a little bit. I worry about Manchester City. They are probably the only team which are capable of going on not 5-game runs, and we're talking wins here, not 10, but 12, 13, 14, 15 games, win. Like, we have to remain perfect. We have to remain perfect. There's no space for draws. There's no space for those little Brighton fixtures where we drop stupid points. There's no place for that. We've got to go into these games hungry with the best team available and fit at that point to go out and do the business. So, ring the changes at Newcastle. Newcastle are looking a bit resurgent now after they picked up their win recently as well. So we could see a little bit of change. They're also heading into January as well. They're going to look to recruit in the window also. So that's a bit of a worry for me. But we just play the best team, the strongest team available to go out and do the job. SS. Sorry, go on, Roy.
I was just going to say, the thing is as well, we're going into this Christmas period and our squad depth is ridiculous, by the way. When you think about it, Kelleher is a good backup to Alisson. It's a shame for him that we've got Alisson, because he would be playing a lot more football. Nico showed against AC Milan that he is looking confident. He was good against AC Milan, mate. He's been good for Wales. He's on what I'm saying, on a rotation basis, if we need it. I thought he was brilliant. Our centre halves, Gomez has come back now. Matip, and we've just talked about all that. Shimikas and Robbo speaks for itself. You look at our midfielder, we've just got Milner back. Keita looks like he's back. We've obviously got Thiago, Henderson, Fabinho, Oxlade-Chamberlain. Our only issue is the Firmino situation up front. But apart from that, I think our squad depth on a rotational, like I can see Kanate and Robbo starting this weekend maybe, and then Newcastle I can see Shimikas coming in with Matip, and Gomez maybe giving Trent, because don't forget Gomez came on as right back as well. I think we've got so many strings to our. I know.
I was waiting for SS's face. I was waiting for it.
He needs the game time, and if games are to bed after an hour, there's no reason why he can't come on for half an hour and do a job. What I'm saying is, as a collective, this is the strongest that we've been going into a winter break. And the team I think that might struggle more over this next month is Chelsea. I think it's going to get. I think it potentially can get from bad to worse for them. My issue with them is, they've got a great team. They were weak in the midfield. They signed Saul from Atletico Madrid, and he's been a flop.
That was money. That was all money.
Yeah,
that team
they knew they needed after Kovacic, Jorginho and Kante. What was next? Ruben Loftus-Cheek. For as good a player Ruben Loftus-Cheek can be,
injuries.
It was very frail for them in the midfield, and I think they may struggle over these next few weeks.
Well, Kovacic is back in training, isn't he, and potentially back available. I think the Sal Niguez one was one that hurt, because me and SS done numerous transfer Tuesdays. And he was just linked. Like we got loads of information about him. Like we put dossiers together about freaking Sal Niguez, scouting missions all about Sal Niguez, because it looked like really on for Liverpool. And then he pops up at Chelsea. The only thing that was is money, because respectfully, if you look at the way that we play football and the way that they play football, I think our style would have been made for him. But obviously money talks, doesn't it? Joe Gomez is an interesting conundrum, though, as to whether he'll actually stay at Liverpool in January. There's a lot of talk of a loan move potentially to Villa for him to get game time, because obviously we're heading into a World Cup year next year, and I'm sure he's got ambitions to be a starter for England again, because he was a starter before the injury. So I'm sure he's got ambitions, and again, we ain't got much better in there when you look at Harry Maguire. Moving on. So score predictions, guys. Score predictions. The part of the show which I hate the most, and the part of the show which SS loves the most. Roy, as you are the guest, I'm going to come to you. What is your score prediction for Villa Liverpool?
I've been thinking about this quite. I go 1 minute. I go from
he's doing an SS.
I don't know what an SS is, but you can let me know by the end of the score prediction as if it's an SS. But part of me was worried about it in the sense like, oh God, will it be a scrappy 1-0? Will they get a draw? I just think that barring the Wolves, in fact, you know what, the Wolves game actually, even it worried me slightly. Previous to that, we had like the likes of Brentford and Brighton, which we did drop points against. We found a way. We found a way against Wolves, and I think that might just be a bit of a catalyst to like just say, right, we need to knock this on the head. And I just think at home, if we play without fear and we play the way we have been playing, I reckon we can see another 3 or 4-0. I really do.
Ooh, okay.
And I'm gonna go with that rather than go with the pessimistic side and say 2-2. So I'm gonna go 3 or 4-0.
So 3 or 4.
Yeah, because I said 3 or 4 for the Wolves game, the game before the Wolves game.
I've got to press you to pick one. 3 or 4.
3.
3. Okay. Courtney B.
I'm gonna go with 3-1.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll be a clean sheet.
Okay. SS.
Yeah, I'm the same. 3-1. I think Watkins gets him a goal. I think Salah gets at least one. Maybe Jota and Mane. Maybe one for all the front three. I do see them scoring a goal. They do tend to like to get a goal against us, don't they? But yeah, I feel that we've got enough this weekend. We've had a good week. You know, the Champions League game rested everybody. Everybody's had a nice week off. They're going to be fresh. They're going to be raring to go. Salah and Mane, played an hour. Didn't play amazingly, but I think they played very much in second or third gear against Milan. So yeah, I think a nice cushy 3-1, and then going into that, like you say, that relentless period, ready to roll. Really keep that momentum high.
God, do you know what? Sod it. I'm going. I think we keep a clean sheet, and I'm gonna go 4-0. I think we keep a clean sheet, and I reckon we hit them hard. Reason being is we're at home. The atmosphere is going to be electric. Steven Gerrard returning back to Anfield. The flags are going to be out. The supporters are going to be out. It's going to be a momentous day. Now, whether he comes out of there with a result against Liverpool Football Club or not, the supporters are going to be so hospitable and so welcoming to him. It's just going to be buoyant. And we know what it's like when the Liverpool crowd are up. Our tails get up. We get a bit of swagger about us. We start to play some serious ball. And that's what I think. We're going to put on a show. It's going to be a spectacle. So I'm going 4-0 for Liverpool Football Club.
Positive.
I'm going 4-0.
Yeah, love it.
So that brings us to the end of another Fab 4 show where we welcomed Roy from Top of the Cop back. Roy, just quickly, I know you've got some real good stuff going on at Top of the Cop, and I really like your hoodie as well. You've got some real good stuff.
Buy these on the website, mate.
Yeah.
Can't guarantee Christmas delivery, sorry, just before anyone does.
So guys, if you don't know already, go check out Roy's stuff at Top of the Cop, because he makes some serious content. And he's on a couple of platforms. I know he does some gaming content as well. So it's all good, positive stuff. Hopefully we can welcome Roy back on a more regular basis. And he moves from being Divock to being Firmino for us. In terms of coming on the show and providing us with some content as well. SS.
Yeah.
Sorry, Courtney, excuse me. Welcome, obviously, Courtney back as well. She's a figment and a mainstay of the team as well. And then obviously we got my co-host, the main man, the man behind the scenes, the brains behind the operation, Thiago's father.
Nice. I like
I
that.
thought it was being too nice.
Oh, it's nice.
SS, what we got coming up for this week? Talk to
Well,
you guys, what we got coming up.
Annoyingly, because it's the third 3 p.m. kickoff in a row, I don't know how I'm going to do Red Sea full time by not seeing the game. So we might have to do a delay, because I did one for the Wolves game last week, just me, and I managed to catch the highlights and then did a show based on that, which seemed to work quite well. So hopefully we'll have a Red Sea full time Saturday afternoon. Also, we've got obviously games coming thick and fast, so we'll have a Newcastle preview Fab 4 show at some point next week. That's on the Thursday, the actual game itself, and then obviously Red Sea full time, and then a quick turnaround for a Spurs preview and a Spurs full time as well. So yeah, busy time.
Good. And guys, obviously, if you're new and you're in the comments as well and you're watching as well, make sure you lock in and keep it Red Sea Podcast. Obviously, we're on the way to 600 subscribers. So if you can be part of that, we'd obviously appreciate that as well. But yeah, keep your eye on everything we've got coming up over the course of the week. As SS said, we've got a lot in terms of previews and in terms of shows that we've got going on at the moment. But I've been Thiago's father. We've been the Red Sea Podcast. Thank you for joining us.